Still waiting on it to hit Instagram. Okay, a little concerned. Oh, there it is, lit up. Okay, we're live now. What's up, everybody? Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the first episode of CU Sunday, presented by the CU, the Comic Underground.
We're going to talk about Free Comic Book Day later in the show, everybody. But now that it's over, go to the comments real quick and share the things that your LCS did that made the event memorable or fun. And later in the show, we're going to talk about some of your comments. So make sure you're dropping them in now so we can take a look at them. But first,
all right, that's the whiz bang.
Love it.
So hello, everyone. I'm happy to see you this Sunday. Gotcha. I'm Kyle. This is Dan. And on today's show, we're going to talk about the last week in the CU, the biggest day in comics each year, the passing of a legend, and the conclusion of one of our favorite shows.
Happy May 3rd. If you're not following the Comic Underground on Instagram, you're missing some amazing shows, sellers, books. So be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss out on some of these really cool events in the future. Kyle, why don't you talk about some of the things that people may have missed?
So this was a really cool week, Dan. I mean, first I have to give a shout out to one of the queens of comics in the CU, Sky Haston of Key Lime Comics, wife, of course, as we all know, to Nick of the Nerds Pub. She stepped in for Nick on Monday because unfortunately Nick and the whole family was sick. Nick said that Sky was doing some like Neo Matrix shit to avoid sickness. So she was on with Michael of Yellow Beanie Comics, and she just totally owned it. And then Tuesday, I did the show with H-Rod. It was really cool. We had this really cool deal happen where he had a Tales Return of the Dark Knight signed by Frank Miller, and we were able to hook up a brand new buyer. We had to jump through some hoops. Unfortunately, some of you guys were in the show, and you saw that, when we have a brand new buyer, we're a little afraid to let them just buy a gigantic book, sight unseen, not knowing the person. So we actually had it set up so that he paid a down payment while on air. So we were really cool. It was really cool of him to kind of participate in that and make away with really a steal on a really cool book. Another really cool aspect of the CU, as you know, is that we have creators on. So Thursday, we got to do a cover reveal with Lee Rags. We revealed her exclusive cover of Florida Cocaine. I'm going to screw this up. Hippopotamus Massacre, #1. There it is on screen. It's really sick. If you missed that, you missed getting a copy of this book for, I want to say it was 17 plus 7 shipping. She has a bunch of OA. It's so sick.
Yeah.
She has a bunch of OA for sale as well, and she's going to be at Heroes selling more. But props to Cliff, who we all know from TN Comic Collector, who finds all these awesome artists to bring into our lives. That's just some of the cool stuff that happened this week on the CU. There were some other awesome shows. Obviously, we had Joey, one of our 4 founders, who's now called Ecto1 Comics, was on with Spencer Wednesday and had a fun show. And we had Nick Sepians of Realistic Comic Books on with Kate on Friday night for like an early Friday show that was really sick too.
Are we going to split the panels? We're getting some comments and people can't really see us, but that's no big deal.
I mean, they don't have to see us, but no, I got you.
I mean, there's nothing really to see, but I will just say this. You talk about Hector and the Tales of the Dark Knight and that new seller, and only on the Comic Underground can we have stuff like that happen so dynamically, just like we're fortunate to have the amazing community that we do, especially as we start heading towards Anticon #2, which is hard to believe, on June 26th through the 28th, right?
Yep.
My favorite portion of Anticon, everybody, is the recognition of all the valuable people in our community, right? We call them the undies. So right now, before the Anticon 2 happens, you got to go to our link in the profile of the Comic Underground and nominate your community heroes. There's all kinds of categories. Take a minute, really think through it, and put your nominations in. So that way, when we get to the Anticon 2, we can really celebrate and tribute to those real life comic book heroes in our community that really make this as fun as it is. I mean, that's just my favorite part, but I don't know what else we got going on, Kyle.
So we always try to add stuff, there's a lot going on. I could share a few things, some of the things we don't have finalized quite yet. But there's gonna be 20 plus claim sales again. There'll be some claim sales that are an hour like they were last year. We got feedback that for some sellers that was too fast, and we kind of agreed because Kate, Nick, and I doing. I think it ended up being 26 shows. Was kind of it was quite literally a marathon. So we're planning several more artist sketch shows and OA sales. And our kind of calling card doing stuff is giveaways. Last year, I think we had 48, Dan. Like
that's too many.
It felt like too many. I want to say, I don't know if you remember last year, gang, but we ended up doing a fundraiser for a young lady named Charlotte who grew up with Nick and who had this traumatic injury by being hit by a car. So really, the giveaway turned into a fundraiser for her. So we were blessed to have 48 because really what happened is people like Dan and loads of people, Justin Van Cleve. I can't remember by the top of my head now. Four Corners. Everybody jumped in and gave stuff that we could give away. So it wasn't about us giving a bunch of giveaways. It was about the community coming together. So I'm sure people are going to step up and do that again this year out of the goodness of their hearts. So we plan to have a ton. Frankly, we hope to have a little bit fewer. That was a lot. But there's more to come. There's going to be there's some stuff with some artists coming up that I can't reveal yet, and there's some stuff that we'll do for the giveaways with a charity that we'll reveal when we're completely final.
Yeah, and I'm excited, but I think enough about us, right? Let's get on with some of the hot topics that you brought up in the beginning of the show, including, like we talked about the passing of an absolute legend. We are going to talk about the season ending of one of our favorite shows. I'm debating with you on that one, but we'll see. We'll go there. And then we would be absolutely remiss if we didn't talk about the Super Bowl of comic book collecting, Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this week we lost the legendary Conway, and we'd be really remiss if we didn't take a moment to acknowledge his impact. So Dan did a kind of a deep dive into his career. So what do you have for us?
It's amazing, man. I mean, you know what? I will say every time we sit and we think about, every time we hear about a creator passing, it's a good occasion for us to pause and really reflect and appreciate, what these creators really deliver to us and how they make our hobby such an institution that it is, right? This guy, Jerry Conway, I mean, we know Jerry because of, stories like Demon in the Bottle with Iron Man, or we know, obviously, his creation of characters like Punisher and that iconic yellow Amazing Spider-Man cover where he's got Spidey in the crosshairs. I mean, these are what he's well known for, among many other things. But I think it's amazing to think when you look back, this guy broke into the industry at the age of 16. He was arguably one of the most iconic Bronze Age Marvel and DC writers. He later went on to do, I think he did like, production, and he did some screenwriting and stuff as well. But, he succeeded Stan Lee. Can you imagine that? At 19? He succeeded Stan Lee on The Amazing Spider-Man. I think issues like a 30 or 40 issue run. He wrote the death of Gwen Stacy issue. It's a landmark story the night that Gwen Stacy died. Like I said, he founded the Punisher. He founded a ton of characters, a co-creation of Miss Marvel, Ben Reilly, Man-Thing, a lot of stuff. He was actually Marvel's editor-in-chief in 1976. He had a long run on the Justice League of America. He wrote it for like 8 years. And he co-created a number of characters there as well, like Firestorm, Jason Todd, Power Girl. I mean, it was not uncommon, Kyle. And this was something I really found amazing because we do not see this anymore. It was not uncommon for his stories to drop for both Marvel and DC in the same month.
It's crazy that they would even allow that. You would think
they don't do it today.
Right.
Yeah. So I just, I don't want to spend a ton of time, memory eternal Jerry Conway, but what a phenomenal career. And honest to goodness, I just got to tell you, I feel like our collectible hobby is just so much better for him and for all of these creators that we are fortunate to really get the benefit of their work.
Yeah, I think that I didn't do the dive you did. I knew that you were looking up points to make sure you hit. I don't read a lot. I didn't read a lot of Jerry Conway because I'm not, that's not what I grew up with, and I didn't go backwards. I still haven't, as an adult, gone super far back in time to read things. But what I noted in what I read about him was that he's basically credited for modernizing Marvel Comics. Right? He's taken it from this idea that Peter was this kid and kind of this all shucks, leave it to Beaver, wholesome kind of stuff for the most part. And sort of modernizing it. The Demon in the Bottle is a good example. The Death of Gwen Stacy is a good example of how he made it feel a little more real, a little more serious. And so we owe a lot to him for all that.
Yeah, I was listening to other podcasts, and somebody had mentioned, I forgot the name of the podcast, and I will mention it anyway because this is our podcast. I'm not going to give them advertisement, but I will say I was listening.
Credit where it's due. Credit where it's due.
Yeah, fair enough. But they did mention how, like, when Jerry Conway passed, he clearly, I think it's common knowledge. If not, I'm sorry to be the one to share it. I probably know if I should, but he was battling cancer, right? So when he passed, I think the family or somebody must have been communicating with Marvel because they were quick to come out and say the passing of a legend, giving Jerry Conway his due. I mean, I think that really goes to show, and not dismissing other past creators that have gone on, but the amount of impact that Jerry Conway really had. I mean, I have no doubt now that if you are fortunate to have an ASM 129 or that, what is that, Iron Man, like, what is it, 180, or I don't remember what it was, but the Demon, I don't know, but the Demon in the Bottle episode, I mean, hold on to them now because they're going to become one of those things where, and especially if you got signatures, yeah, you've got a piece of history now. So yeah.
Right, well, our next topic, moving away from Mr. Conway again, rest in peace, sir, is the best animated series of all time. I mean, let's be honest. It just ended its fourth season. It was chock full of key moments from the comic books, if you've read, and this will be full of spoilers. So if you haven't finished Invincible, mute me and fast forward or whatever on the recording. But this took us from Mark reuniting with Nolan and Alan at the end of season 3 through the entire Viltrumite War. So they kind of fired a lot of serious shots and took a huge chunk of the run that probably most notable in the Invincible run. I would say the Viltrumite War is probably one of the most notable kind of storylines that kind of casuals would know about. It's one I certainly knew about before I started reading it. But a couple of big things that I want to note, a couple have been already talked about a ton on social, obviously. The first is, and I'd love for your comments to come through on Instagram audience, the tech jacket gender swap. What's everybody's take on that? I didn't have any problem with it.
I think it was a good move.
Why do you think they did that?
I think to bring in, other demographics, maybe to make it a little bit more like engaging. I mean, I think it adds a nice variety. I mean, I think it was a nice change, right? I don't know that it was instrumental to the story, but I think that's why they could do that, right? They couldn't clearly do that with like Adam Eve. I mean, they couldn't do that with Mark Grayson, but I think it was good to do it with Tech Jacket. I think it was a good move.
I think it was a good move too. If you think about the heroes in Invincible, and we were talking about it prepping for the show, aside from Adam Eve, and I would count Debbie in there. There's not a lot of vital female characters, and that's kind of a shame. And it almost felt like Kirkham's kind of acknowledged that in a way. But he's kind of said that it felt like the first 6 Avengers, right? The 5 guys with Black Widow, and adding Tech Jacket, who becomes a pretty significant character, is pretty important. They have done some race swaps of some main characters, including Mark and Amber, but those aren't too consequential to the story, which is kind of cool. And hopefully Tech Jackets isn't either. There was a little allusion to her and Oliver hitting it off, which would change things a bit in the future storylines with Oliver.
I thought it kind of felt like that. You could feel at times some tension, but right. I thought that would really be a departure from the story if they went that route, which wouldn't be terrible. I mean,
no, they could do it.
Yeah, they could do it, but I think they want to stick to the main script, which, again, I thought it was. I will say this: like, I like Invincible, I really do, and the story is, of course, goes without saying, it's so good. But only there's things that they do, and we talked about this. There's things that they can do in animation that you don't really get when you're reading the book, like the disembowelment of Mark Grayson. Oh, like it went on for minutes, man. I mean, Conquest is just pulling intestines out of this dude, and the noises. I was like, this is not needed.
I've seen a shot by shot kind of representation of the panels to not just that scene, but kind of the whole fight. And it's remarkable how similar it is. I mean, there's differences because it's animated, but it's pretty similar. But yeah, if I remember correctly, I need to rewatch it. But if I remember correctly, they turn off the other sound, and you just hear as he pulls, and it's just making this goopy noise. It's pretty disgusting. And the way Conquest turned blue, I thought was kind of cheesy, honestly. But then I looked at the comic again, and that's what happens. I mean, so pretty cool. The other thing I thought that, and I've heard a little bit of people have an issue with this, is Thrag's voice. He's voiced by Lee Pace, who was, I guess, most famously in comicdom, he was Ronan, the Accuser, and he was also
I didn't know that.
The elf in Lord of the Rings. I can't remember his name. He was not in Lord of the Rings, in The Hobbit. But I thought it was great. I like that Thrag doesn't have this big, like, brawny, manly voice. He has this more like condescending, like super confident voice, which I think makes sense for a guy that's that powerful. He doesn't need to sound like Thor. He doesn't need to sound like, the Hulk. He's so flipping powerful. He's just like, all this is kind of beneath me, and I'm here to do this, and everything's matter of the fact. Even the only time you see him just totally freak out is when they destroy Viltrum, obviously, which is justified. The other thing we saw in this season, obviously with Tech Jacket coming on board and some others, was kind of the assembly of the team. I guess what we would call the Coalition of Planets team, which was really cool. Space Racer kind of came out of nowhere in the show. He kind of does in the book too. But he was really cool. He was a really cool addition. I felt like he was maybe sidelined a little bit, but he was about as involved as he was in the book. Obviously, Oliver coming into his own, and Alan getting a whole lot more spotlight.
You know what I give Invincible props for, which is they really do. They don't shy away from touchy subjects. I mean, we know about the whole Anissa thing. We know that. We know about. Not to spoil this, but you're going to find out Adam, Eve, and Mark, there was a whole thing while he was away that happened. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was in the story. That was in the season.
That was in the season for sure.
Yeah.
And also even the way Mark is processing like all the death he's seen, and he's now fearful of Thrag, and everywhere he looks now when he gets back, he's dealing with the mental trauma that he's faced. Having to see like his own mortality at times, people he knows, people he's fought with, and so now he's worried that like the Viltrumites have come back to Earth and are gonna pass judgment on all of his family, friends, and the people of Earth. And when he does make it back, he's surprised to find out that Earth is exactly the way he left it, like nothing going on at all. Which if you're following the story, you get it. But I like the way that they touch on some of these like topics of. I mean, I don't know if they belong there or not. So don't send me an email saying don't you advocate for these things. But I will say like the way that Kirkman and the way that they address issues of like rape and and abortion and mental trauma, death. I mean, they do it in a way that like it doesn't make it comedy. I mean, it's a serious part of the story.
Well, I think it's a good testament to the story, and that is why I like Invincible so much. And Batman the Animated Series did this too. It doesn't make it feel like, well, we haven't gotten to the Anissa rape yet. I'm assuming it's going to happen. I feel like it has to happen in the story. But with the abortion story, the sort of PTSD story, it doesn't feel like you're watching an episode about that. If you think about old 80s, 90s sitcoms that would have the serious episode where like, Cosby Show did this a lot. A Different World did this a lot. Rock did this a lot, where it had a very serious story about one of the main characters is involved in drugs, it's like it happens that one episode and it's resolved by the end, and it's the episode about drugs. And it's the one where they chose to act really well, right? There's nothing silly in the episode, right? And they were good and they're memorable and they're milestones. Archie, All in the Family did it quite a few times purposefully. This didn't feel like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's not for everybody, right? Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Some people want to keep it light. Like I'm looking at comments, somebody's like, "Is it weird that I can't get into it?" And no, I mean, there's nothing weird about it. It's not for everybody. Different strokes for different folks. But I would just say, whether you like that subject matter or you don't, whether you like Invincible or you don't, I respect the way Kirkman addresses some of these more touchier subjects that a lot of other people wouldn't go near with a 10-foot pole.
I think too, and to Augie's point, when I first saw it, like I remember when it came out, and I hate it now because I thought I was craving at that time. I think what's it, 03, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I wasn't collecting comics, and I was kind of, I was a casual, and I loved X-Men, so I would go to Heroes we would take the kid. Well, Kieran was born in 06, but we started taking the kids to Heroes every couple months, and just to look at the news rack and see what they had. But I was really looking for the next indie thing. I wasn't looking for anything in Marvel or DC because I didn't want to have to like catch up and figure it out.
Yeah.
So when Invincible came out, I picked it up and I flipped through it and I didn't get it because it looked cheesy. Because Kirkman's Guardians of the Globe characters, they are goofy and cheesy looking, and I think it's purposeful because he's kind of a goofball.
Yeah.
He did another series called Super Dinosaur that my kids liked. And yeah, he was doing Walking Dead, and I'm not into like zombies and stuff like that as a comic. I didn't want anything like gruesome, because I was probably gonna flip through it with my kids and stuff. So I didn't think Invincible was going to be a serious book. I didn't think it was going to be violent like that. When you first look at it, I thought it was like another like Spider-Man knockoff, right? It's a kid superhero. And then I remember seeing it like a year later and going, "Oh, that thing's still going." And I remember when The Return came out, I was like, "Oh, it must have fallen apart, and now they're bringing it back." And I just kept ignoring it. But shame on me because those were supposed to be jokes that we were supposed to be in on. Is kind of how I felt about it, and I didn't give it a shot, and I should have. I also don't love all of Ryan Otley's art. I think he's a good artist, but the way he super exaggerates faces and stuff can make what I thought to be cheesy at a glance look cheesier.
Well, and let's be fair. I mean, I like Ryan Otley, but the art isn't the best art that's going. I mean, it's not in the book. Right. It's not. It's just not. I mean, but that's not taken away. It's still a good story. And honestly, if you look back at other good stories, like, I mean, just Sandman is one, right? The art wasn't great in Sandman, but the story was enough to propel it to a whole other stratosphere. I always laugh because I look at two powerhouse writers at like Robert Kirkman and Jonathan Hickman. And in my estimation, Kirkman goes too long with his stories. They start to go too long. Hickman doesn't go long enough. He kills them, right? And so I'm thinking like, where's the mindset there when they're doing their work? But you can't take away from stories that Kirkman's done. Like, I mean, he's doing the Energon stuff now. He did Firepower. He's done Walking Dead. Somebody mentioned. I mean, you can't argue with it. And I mean, look at that was the 4th season of Invincible, right?
Right.
You got 4 seasons. You still got more to come. There's a lot. I mean, I've got 3 omnibus of Invincible. There's a lot of material left.
Yeah, we've got probably at one point he said 10. The last thing I saw in an interview, he said 7 to 9 seasons. He felt like because we're just past halfway in the books.
Yeah.
So a couple comments came in that were great. Joe, what's up, bro? From Mutant Mansion Comics says, "What's awesome about this story is I didn't even blink to any of those serious topics. For me, it was all about Mark's journey and how the book ends, plus the surprises that pop up along the way." And Kate says, "Agreed. It supports the work, but it's not revolutionary." And she even says, "I prefer the writing of the show to the comic book." And, I think Kirkman has said that too. He said some of the changes he made because it's been 23 years since he started writing the book. So he's like, "Yeah, I messed up." Some of the stuff is the gender swaps. Some of the stuff is the pacing of the book because I think we've talked about the story before, is he was forced to move up the reveal that Omni-Man was bad because they were essentially canceling the book. And so he had to move. They were like, this is just ho-hum and it's not selling anything. And he's like, no, but you got to wait, because I think it was going to happen like 20 or 25 issues in. And he's like, no. You better make that happen. So he moved it like way up in the story. And then Otley came on too, which gave him a punch in the arm, a shot in the arm.
The main villain in this story, even though you think it's Thrag, it's not only Thrag. And the funny thing about it is Thrag is a formidable opponent. I mean, he's not just bloodthirsty. He doesn't just see rage and start killing, but he can back up his mouth, but he's also very intentional and deliberate. And as the season ended, you see the truce, the unsteady truce that is put forth between Mark and Thrag, basically because Thrag's intention is to make sure his people, the Viltrumites, thrive, and they don't become what do you call, like, I don't, what is the word, expired?
Extinct.
What do you call extinct? Yeah, they don't become extinct. But can you imagine now, Mark? I mean, obviously it's all fiction, but can you imagine Mark's headspace now? Like, he's living back on Earth with everybody he loves, and he doesn't know where any of these people are, and they're just there, and he's got to accept it.
And they could just show up and kill every single body anytime they felt like it.
Anytime they felt like it.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know that anything like that has quite ever happened before. Obviously, that's when he starts reminding you more of like a Thanos character, when like you can't hate Thrag because ultimately his culture is conquering. It's not that he wants to. I don't think he. I'm sure there's Viltrumites like Conquest who like just get off hurting people. I don't think Thrag's not there because he could do that, and he doesn't. He's trying to perpetuate his entire species.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I could beat this guy because I'm better than he is. I'm stronger than he is, and he's upset me, and he's hurt me more than anyone could ever hurt me. But it wouldn't help my species.
I did
He's
find it a little
victim, dude. He's almost that? You could make a good case that Thrag's the victim.
You know what? That's an interesting take, and you're not wrong. I thought it was funny though at the end when it shows the Viltrumites assimilating into society. Like, some of them like look like they're going to an office job. Some of them look like they're like straight prostitutes. Like, Anissa, what are you wearing? And then somebody's like sucking face with a biker or something. Like, how are they finding their people that they're trying to breed with? Like,
well, and then Lucian, who's kind of been the, I don't know, of the Viltrumites we've met, he's kind of the biggest asshole. Well, yeah. Conquest. But he's got like a business suit on. Like, can you imagine Lucian sitting in a tense board meeting?
Yeah, that's what I'm laughing about.
He's just gonna sit and look at this little, schmuck telling him how they've got to meet a profit margin, and he's supposed to like do the math on crunch the numbers. Like, Lucian?
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I think, like I said, I mean, we go back and forth, and it's a great series. I don't think it's better than Batman the animated series. I think but my complaint with the Invincible is not about the story or the characters, because it is really well done.
Yeah.
My complaint is with the gratuitous violence. Like,
I completely agree.
With the boy, like, you just don't need it. Like, it doesn't move the story forward. It shows you maybe a different gravity of the situation, but they could stop 4 levels before where they're going, and you would still get it. Like, it's right. People getting their heads splattered or their bodies, or I mean, it's just too much. Like, again, I can get why people, it's not for them, but you can't dismiss the genius that is Robert Kirkman. You can't.
I think that I completely agree. I don't like gratuity in anything. I don't watch horror movies. I don't read horror comics. I don't like it because I don't need that. I don't want to see that. And I think that when you use it sparingly, it has more impact. And that's been a shot at this season. Is how many times does Mark get beat into oblivion and then heal, and it takes it away? So like in this season alone, let me think. So Mark gets disemboweled by Conquest.
His eye poked out. His eyes gouged out by Thrag.
His eyes gouged out and beaten up too by Thrag. So does Oliver and Nolan.
Yeah, Oliver gets his jaw ripped off.
And which was badass. And his arm ripped off. His arm completely ripped off.
Oh my gosh.
And he's a little kid. And he's not Viltrumite. He's half Viltrumite. And doesn't Mark start the season hurt? Wasn't he hurt at the end of last year?
I feel like you're right. I feel like there was a scene where he was
Conquest battle.
Yeah, I feel like you're right because he was pretty badly beat up. Yeah, that's right because so was Eve.
Right, because he's all messed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, Invincible's not invincible at all. So we need, I feel like sometimes we need to see that Invincible is invincible to believe it. Because right now he's just getting his ass handed to him pretty
Yeah,
frequently.
well, exactly right.
We
Exactly
got
right.
lots of comments, Dan. Joe from Mutant Mansion says that Walking Dead's a great story. He says again, Kirkman finishes. There are many great ideas in the beginning, but many missed the landing. But then Walking Dead had a good finish as well. Augie agrees. Mikey says he loves the violence. He thinks it's done purposefully in contrast to the bright colors. I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Yeah. Mikey does like horror though, so he's all for that horror stuff. That's where he's coming from, which I
And
get.
he said that if I don't do horror, that I'm missing out on some great writing. I don't doubt that.
That's true.
I can't watch horror movies. It's just a thing. Last topic on Invincible that we can finish off is the barter with Thrag, right? So we dealt with it a little bit. We said, how does that happen? What do you think, guys? Where do you rank Thrag in kind of like uniqueness of master villain? What kind of villain is he? Because he comes off first as the guy that's just gonna physically beat the bejesus out of everybody, and now he's coming off as, I don't know. He's not. I don't feel like he's outsmarting everybody. It's still intimidation more than anything else. Where do you kind of put Thrag in the pantheon of villains? Is he? Is he like dark side level? Is he Thanos level or what?
What do you think?
Well, the knock on Invincible would be it's only 144 issues.
Yeah,
So
144 issues.
We don't get the body of work on Thrag or anybody else other than maybe Mark and Nolan and the first few characters. So knowing how it pans out, so knowing the rest of the story, I mean, yeah, I don't know. In a fight, I don't know if he's dark side level at all. But or Thanos level. But as far as like what he's willing to do and the ideas he has and he confronts, I mean, he's more like a Mr. Sinister, but in his plotting, or a Red Skull kind of type, or that he's willing to just do anything to win. And winning against saving his people.
Mikey Gruesome saying is like a Dragon Ball Z character.
Those last fights really were, Mikey, where he can just bat somebody away and it shows them flying forever and ever and ever, and there's like a poof of smoke where the guy hit a different planet. I agree. Augie says Batman the Animated Series is so superior, but we could argue that the Teen Titans Go series from 2003 is, dude, I love Teen Titans Go. Yeah.
There's definitely a shift in the graphical nature of cartoons here as of late. I mean, and I'm not a prude. I mean, it works sometimes. I'm watching on Amazon The Legend of Vox Machina. It's pretty graphic too, and there's a lot of questionable content in there. So I'm definitely not pinpointing the type of violence it's showing. I mean, it does make for an interesting story. I will say though that in terms of Thrag as the villain, he's definitely up there. I don't know. I don't know if I'd put him at Thanos level, but he's definitely like Lex Luthor level.
Yeah, that's more like it. More like Lex Luthor. He's, I think that's what's important to note is with Thrag, you can almost, as a character, you can almost divorce him of all his physical abilities, and his like mental state is what makes him impressive as a character.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly right.
All right. So what's up next, Dan?
Guys, free comic book day or comics giveaway day, depending on the distributor, right?
So confusing.
Right? What's that?
So confusing.
Well, I feel for these LCSs now because it's got to be harder. Back in the day when you were going through Diamond for everything, it was just one-stop shopping. Now, depending on if you're Universal, which is, I think, Free Comic Book Day, they bought the rights to the Free Comic Book Day Universal, or if you're Penguin Random House, which is Comics Giveaway Day, it still was an awesome day. I mean, there was over 45 books. I don't know, how was it for you? What did you get?
So I picked out a few things. Aiden and Dawn and I went to Bonafide.
What shop did you go to first?
Oh, so I went to Bonafide Comics. which is about 40 minutes from me, but it's a cool comic shop. It's owned by a guy who used to sell an IG, and then started his comic book shop. I think this is his second anniversary. His name's Andy, super cool guy. Go follow him. Bonafide, Bonafide Comics.
So newer shop.
Newer shop, a couple years old. It's in an old strip mall, and he's renovated the interior. It's sick. He has just a ton of dollar books, like a lot of places do. He had pretty steep discounts. He had like 20% off everything, and then he had like I think 10% off the wall. And he had a couple extra giveies that he was doing. We did think about going to Heroes, which is obviously the most famous one around me. They do Heroes Con. I looked on their social, and they already had a line like around the block. And if you're anywhere from anywhere near Charlotte, Heroes literally has no parking, like 0 parking spaces. That's how tight it is in Charlotte right there. And so we didn't try to brave that. And then there's another local one called Selfish. It's about 30 minutes away. It did the same thing where they had a line around the block. So we went to Bonafide. It was great. Andy had it set up really well. He had I posted some pictures. He had a bunch of tables of the freebies, and they had the dungeon crawler.
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, they had that behind the counter because they already had realized that it was taking off. So yeah, how about you?
I go to my LCS, Johnny Scott Comics in Kent, Ohio, and he always makes it fun. He does half off back issues. He does heavy discounts in all the store items. The one thing I like about Scott, who runs it, is he doesn't I know some shops limit the amount of books you can take. Like there's over 40 books, but they say, okay, you can only take 12 of books, right? One of each, but 12 is the maximum. He doesn't cap it. He's like, just take what you want. I will give a props though for Northeast Ohio. We're lucky to have a lot of good shops here. I wasn't feeling the greatest yesterday, so I went to Johnny Scott. Then I came back home and kind of relaxed a little bit. And I had a lot of reading to do anyway, because I do read these books. Like I love to read where they're going. Some of them are just like reprints or they're just sort of like revisiting stuff you already know. But some of them are really cool, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I will give a shout out to Carol and Johns in Cleveland. They're just an institution in Ohio, Northeast Ohio. They've been around for 40 years almost, I think, or more. They run, like you talked about, Heroes with the line around. They had lines into the street. I mean, they've got a dozen people maybe on their staff. They're serving over 2,000 people, if not more. And they do all kinds of fun events. They got the Ghostbuster people out there. They've got people cosplaying. They've got photo opportunities, huge discounts. I mean, he's got wall books. He doesn't do a lot of slabs, but he's got wall books, statues, toys, graphic novels, anything you want. There's just huge discounts. You can fill a short box if you want a big discount. So those are the kind of things to me that I really love when people make an event of something like this, because we joke about it, but it really is the free comic book day and comics giveaway day now is like the Super Bowl for us. And we really, Kyle, I know we've talked about this before, and I make posts about it. We've got to support our LCSs. I mean, there is it's not the same as a digital subscription. I know it's convenient to be able to open your books up and online and not have to go somewhere and get them, but I always say the books are the bonus, right? Like I love to go to my comic shop and I love to chat up the people there, right? And you get to talk to the shop owner, you get to talk to your fellow collectors and see what they're reading. And I knew then that Dungeon Crawler Carl was a hot book, and I still handed it to somebody else because it's not for me. We'll talk about some of the books that we did, our favorite books, here in a minute, but I still think I love those events that build community and camaraderie, just like the Underground. But I really do. I think it was fun. So shout out to Johnny Scott Comics in Kent. But what did you get? What were some of your favorite books from yesterday?
So I did pick up the Dungeon Crawler Carl. We only got one. Aiden had already gotten one, so yeah, I saved some for somebody else.
Did you read it?
I haven't read that one yet.
It's a funny thing. It's already optioned for a movie on Peacock, right?
I figured that's why I had heard. What's funny is I'd heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl somewhere before, and so I realized that it was one I was looking forward to picking up.
It's entertaining. You know what? I give props to that book, and I'll tell you why. Not because of the FOMO. Guys, don't go chasing FOMO. You're going to spend a lot of money for something that you'll get in a couple months much cheaper. But here's the reality of it. Matt Dinneman made a really cool thing, and he self-published a story. It was something he created. It's an RPG. The whole premise is about an alien syndicate that comes to basically exploit Earth, and they're shoving the people into dungeons to basically record them for entertainment, right? And the main character is Carl, who's like an ex-Coast Guard vet, and he somehow is with his girlfriend's cat the cat on the cover there is Princess Donut.
That's great.
And the whole
I like
thing is
the
them
art. I
basically
like the art a
surviving.
lot.
What's that?
I love the art.
It's neat. It's very vibrant. That was one of the only books for the event that had variant covers. I think they had like 7 variant covers for that book. One of them was an absolute Batman homage. If you look it up, you'll
Oh my
see it's
gosh, I've
pretty
only
cool.
seen this one.
Yeah, the absolute Batman homage was like you'll never get it. Like, I mean, it's hard to
Okay.
get, but it's super cool. And I think that's already like Dungeon Crawler Carl's already going on eBay for like $50. I mean,
Yeah, I saw that, when I looked when I got home, it was saying 50, $60. Now it looks like you can get them for 10 to 30, but still. The other ones everybody could predict. I got the Avengers Armageddon because unfortunately the X-Men are rolled into the Avengers summer crossover, even though they're having their
Is that
own series.
Zdarsky? Is that Chip Zdarsky?
That's Zdarsky, and it's making sense of the Zdarsky Captain America series.
Yeah.
And it's got Red Hulk involved. I'm not a big fan. Then Amazing Spider-Man, obviously with Null,
Was
the
it some
Queen in Black,
Queen in Black? Yeah.
Avatar.
Oh, you stole one of mine, you son of a gun. I always love Avatar. I always do.
So have you seen the movie yet?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my God! So the new Avatar movies, we didn't love it, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, visually stunning.
It's supposed to be out to October, but it's out on streaming, on pirated stuff, And then of course the Energon universe, only because I haven't read any of the Kirkman stuff and in the Energon universe, and now they're adding Mask, which I didn't expect to ever happen. So I'm pretty stoked to see what they do with Mask, because that's a really random 80s pull of toys that I still have somewhere. So I'm excited to read that one. The one I want to talk about that I actually read is, I guess it's Decidium.
Yeah, Rom V.
It's really cool, and it's basically this new world. It's kind of black and white manga inspired art, but it's much more detailed than the sort of anime style of manga that we see sometimes. It's drawn by Evan Cagle, who I'm gonna hunt down, and it's written by Rom V. It's basically a story where we are in an ordinary reality. It's today, and this guy realizes, or is foretelling, that according to legend, there used to be gods that walked among us, and it looks like some of the gods resemble gods from mythology that we're aware of, and some definitely don't. Some are kind of anime looking monster type characters, but basically they have it alludes to like the era around the Crusades was a time in which not only were the Knights of Europe kind of going into the Middle East and eradicating other religions, but they were eradicating magic users and any kind of remnant of anything else at all, and they succeeded. And the story is about how gods are coming back to Earth, and I love stuff like that. So I'm down for that. I'm definitely going to be that's going to go on my pull list for sure. So I hope that it stays black and white, and that's not just a free comic book day thing. I hope it's a manga.
People message me, they're like, I don't like the black and white. For me, I read manga, so I didn't even blink. I'm just like, some of the art is beautiful, and
I like it.
I think when you have black and white, you can't hide some of the things that you can hide with color. Like, you got to really be good, and it's beautiful art. Decidium is a typical Rom V. It's going to be a great story. If you follow him with Rare Flavors or the Many Desolate Star, he did some work on tech. He's a amazing writer. I'm excited. That was one of the books I was going to mention. I'm excited about that book. I can't wait to
really
work.
Cool. That's the only one I've sat down and like really read real hard. I flipped through everything else. And what'd you grab?
I grabbed a bunch of books. So some books I get just because I love the covers. I always grab the Garfield book. I just love Garfield, big fat face on that cover. I'm a big fan of Garfield. I grew up with that cartoon, so I do love it. Nothing really, revolutionary in the book. It's really just more entertainment. I did read the Tim Seeley book Inanna, which I'm kind of interested to see where it goes. It's sort of it takes place in like history, where there's a goddess that like saves the people in a war, and then now we fast forward to the future, and this goddess has now reappeared. So I want to see where it goes. Tim Seeley, if you're familiar with some of his work, Money Shot, stuff like that, there are scenes where like they're pulling this goddess out of the ocean and she's buck naked, and you're like, all right, what's that? But I'm not complaining. Tim Seeley, thank you. I hope you feel better soon. I saw your post. You're not feeling well, so I hope you get better soon. I did want Blue Lock. I didn't get it, but luckily, because of our community and the friends we have, somebody is sending it to me. I'm a big manga dude. And I will just say, I'm seeing a shift. Like, I like the mainstream comics. I like Marvel and DC, and I write about it, right? But
Yeah.
I am seeing a shift that readers want different stories. I think that's why we're seeing, Dungeon Crawler Carl take off. If you look at the last 10 years or maybe more, the most valuable free comic book day comics that have been coming out are like One Punch Man, Solo Leveling, right? Like, you're seeing
Avatar has
more.
one.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're seeing more and more of the manga or anime influenced. Dungeon Crawler Carl's not anime influenced. It was a webtoon, right? Matt Dinniman did it himself, but it still feels like that, right? I mean, it feels that way. Even if you open it up, it's got like the black borders. It feels a little bit anime-esque like that. But I think we're seeing a shift where readers want a little bit more. You brought up the Avengers, the Chip Zdarsky story, and I think that, like, that to me is like One World Under Doom. Like, it's just massive. Now you got this Hulk guy trying to take over the world, Red Hulk. It's like, I mean, I think people just want not lighter stories. They want to be entertained. But if you look at the premises of stories that are getting kind of really legs, they're not these multiverse ending stories anymore. I just think people are bringing it back. They want to be entertained in smaller, digestible chunk stories. And so, you talk about Decidium. That's a new story. I'm excited about that. And Nana looks like something new. Blue Lock is a well-known manga anime, so I definitely wanted to pick that one up. But I mean, I thought the Masters of the Universe book was pretty good. I thought that was a pretty good book as well. But I think, to me, if I had to pick one book that I was really excited about, was Blue Lock, and that was the hardest one I couldn't get. And the weird thing too is that, well, yeah, a lot of people didn't get it, and I'll tell you why. Because ordering is harder now with the different distributors,
Right.
and even if you're ordering from Universal, through your one distributor, or you're ordering through Penguin, for Blue Lock, it's Kodansha, so you had to go separately somewhere else and order your Kodansha book. So a lot of people didn't know to do that, and so they didn't even get the Blue Lock book. So I mean, I feel for these LCSs, which is really why we need to make sure we're supporting them, because now their work has even gotten harder.
That's right.
Anyway,
so did you grab anything else other than the freebies?
Oh yeah. I grabbed a hardcover of Absolute Wonder Woman. It was a free comic book day dust jacket version. It's somewhere on the shelf behind me. Beautiful book. They had one for every one of those Absolute titles: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman, so I grabbed that. I did grab. Did you see a new comic book day this week? There was the PS5 Invincible game that dropped. Did you see that?
Yes.
So in it,
They had that.
What's that?
They had it at
Yeah. In it, it's like a comic, a mini comic, a reprint of #1. But also with it, for every store that bought the game, they got a reprint of the #1. It's like a one per order. You only get one per the game you order. So if you order 2, you get 2. So I did grab one of those while I was there, because I'm like, oh, why not? And that thing's already like $70 now. What I'm seeing, it's crazy. I know, it's a reprint. I did grab a couple of foil Mike Mayhew Invincible covers. I don't know. I had Invincible in my mind. I think, because we were going to talk about it today, I grabbed a bunch of Invincible books, but I did also grab that Absolute Wonder Woman graphic novel too. But what about you? What'd you find?
What was that Adam Eve book you had? It was a reprint of Invincible 1. Is that the Mayhew cover?
What's that?
Yeah,
that's a reprint. Those are reprints. They're both foils. One is like I think the Virgin one is not, but it's just reprint #1.
I dove through the dollar bin for a minute, and I've grabbed. A lot of people know what I like: X-Men, I like Avatar, and I like anything Brian K. Vaughan does. That's kind of what I collect, and that's about it. So I grabbed the first 4 issues out of the dollar bin of We Stand On Guard, and it's a story where America has assaulted Canada and has occupied a little portion of a big portion of the southern portion of Canada, and it's told from the Canadian perspective, and it's there's some political stuff in it, but it's interesting. I thought it was a 4-issue series, so once I found #4, I was pretty happy. But there's 6, so I got to find the 5th and 6th one. But they were $1 each. The first issue is like a 40-page mammoth book, so it's killer. And then I really love Joe Mad. He's one of my favorite artists. And when this originally came out, I just didn't grab it. So now I got it for $1. It was that Inhumans run that he did that predictably was slowed down because he's the artist. And so I grabbed the first 3 issues of that, which was really cool. I've been thinking about Sam Keith a lot since he passed away. And I had sold my Marvel Comics Presents stuff that Sam Keith did. Actually, did Joe Mutant Mansion. But I found leaping through, I found ones where he did Nightcrawler, and I found the like famous cover with all the unraveling uniform, $1. So I just had to do it.
That's freaking awesome. I
It's so
misspoke
cool.
earlier. I want to retract a statement because I said I think Jerry Conway did Demon in a Bottle. I think that was David Michelini, and that the reason I got him confused was going back to our shop up in Cleveland, Carroll and Johns. Another thing they did, he was on my mind. They had David Michelini signing, so you could bring all your books. Like he did the first Scott Lang. You could bring these to him, and he would sign these books for you too. So I thought it was cool that anybody brings creators in to have signatures done. So yeah, Jerry Conway did not do Demon in a Bottle. My bad.
No worries, no worries. I went with it. I didn't. When you said that, I was like, wow. So he really is doing like.
Well, he did do a lot though.
Landmark stuff. All right, so I think it's time for our segue.
Yeah, well, I will say, let's circle back to the beginning of our show, right? Do we want to go back and look at the comments and see what some people put there for what their LCSs did? I saw that Kate mentioned early on in the show that she saw a lot of young kids happy to grab the books, and there were some pretty big discounts at her shop. But I don't know, did you grab any other comments, Kyle?
I did. So a couple came through. Jab says that his LCS, which is called Comic Book College in Roseville, Minnesota. I think I've actually been to Roseville, Minnesota, Jabs. Had 30% off all back issues, 50 off statues, 20 off graphic novels,
and 50 off statues,
30 off back issues.
I would have bought so many 50% off statues. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he said sorry, he spent his monthly budget already. And Augie says that he drove to Tupelo, Mississippi, which is about an hour and a half away, because they had such great deals. He didn't get a whole hell of a lot for free. He bought a lot of stuff. Justin says he wants the Jim Lee hardcover set so bad.
I mean, like let me look. I mean, is this? I don't know if this is what.
I'm not sure what Jim Lee set you're talking about. Is it the one like the?
Oh, this is what he's talking about. These are Jim Lee. I think this is the one I told you I got, the dust jacket. So he wanted.
Oh yep. Because he did one of each of the first the Trinity.
Yeah,
Absolute Trinity books.
Yeah.
Spud says, once my finances are up again from yesterday, I'm so getting all those. Justin also says he's just going to see how Wednesday goes because he's selling with us Wednesday. And Spud says, I saw these two teens that reminded me of my bestie when we first got into comics, going crazy bin diving and getting big stacks. It was the highlight of the day. Oh, that's sweet, Spud. What else did your LCSs do, gang, that made Free Comic Book Day extra cool? I should have mentioned that at Bonafide, they actually had an artist named Cabby, Cabbie, who was in there. He was drawing and selling his art. So I did start following him. I already sent him to Cliff to say, hey, you want another guy to do a cover? Cabby's pretty darn good. And Heroes had, I think, 3 artists.
Wow.
They had Brian Stillfreeze there. He comes to every single thing Heroes does. So they had Brian Stillfreeze, I think Bud Root, and I forget who the third artist was, but they always have Brian Stillfreeze. He must.
Bud Root is so iconic. You cannot miss his art style.
No, his art's it's different, and I guess he's most famous for the run on Black Panther from the early 2000s, but really he's been around for 20, 30 years prior to that. So, love his art. Anybody else in the chat? What kind of stuff did your LCS do to make it enjoyable?
Yeah, I love Lexi's comment about the 2 buddies, getting the books. There's nothing better than coming home with a stack of books and just finding a chair and just starting to, even if you're skimming. I mean, you don't have to get deep into it yet, but it's just neat to come into a whole new land. I don't know. I love the stories, and that's like I keep calling it a Super Bowl.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for that Decidium to see what comes of that, and I'm excited to peel through the We Stand Guard. Last Free Comic Book Day, I bought a bunch of my other LCS had graphic novels on sale for trade paperbacks on 30% off. So I grabbed all the Saga. So yeah, well, I grabbed all the ones that don't come in the box set because my family bought me the box set for Christmas, and so I got 10, 11, 12.
I missed Saga. I wonder if they're ever going to come back to that again. I think that one's kind of parked.
Good morning, Beanie. Anybody else want to remind us what their LCS did? Lexi says that Amanda had some really great deals, especially free posters and $40 slabs. My other LCS had the courage, the cowardly dog artist, that she missed this time, but got to say a few words to him before he left. Augie said what was funny is that my wife dropped me off with a water. My wife dropped me off with a wad of cash like I was 12 while she went and shopped. Came back hours later and I had a good time. that is the best wiping of all time right there.
Absolutely. What an awesome wingman.
So as we start to wrap things up, I want to point out the banners across the top. A couple of things that are going to make See You Sunday a little bit different, as you can tell, is that we're prepping a little bit more so that we can bring you more detailed content. And you'll see that we kind of break the show down into little segments, some of which are more interactive, some of which are news, and so on. So we're always going to have something interactive for this section that we're calling the spinner rack. So make sure you tune in for things like that and be prepared for one shots like, I don't know, your favorite dollar bin find ever or something like that.
I will tell you, you hit a home run with the graphics and the intro and everything. You just outdid yourself, Kyle. Like, you're such a creative mind. But
Dan gave me an assignment. He said, I want a video montage.
I think it works though, right?
Dan, I don't know how to do that. And
well,
he
it's
said,
perfect though too, because
if you can do it. And I'm like,
you did
I can, but it will suck. So.
But if we get Kate on or Spencer on or Phil or Nick or somebody, they're in that video. So it's a one big family here. But I will tell you, this has been a really good first See You Sunday. I mean, you really did a good job. As we start wrapping up this show, though, let's start filling everybody in on what's coming up this week. You want to do that, Kyle?
Yeah, so we've got another awesome week ahead. We have 2 new sellers, which is going to be pretty rare for us. We do have a lot of people reaching out wanting to sell with us, which is very cool and very nice, but we're kind of full. So we do take a little bit of time to vet people and make sure they have references or eBay stats or something of that nature. So the people you see coming on new, most of them have been in the pipe for weeks. This Monday, tomorrow, we have Nick and Scott up as the Nerds Pub at 8:30 with Spencer. We're skipping Tuesday. We're trying to have 4 days of shows each week. So Wednesday, we're going to have a double header like we like to do. The first is going to be JVC himself, Justin Van Cleef, who's in the chat right now. He'll be on at 7.
I'm going to be trolling that show so good.
So he's selling some stuff so he can make room for more stuff, kind of thing, right? I don't think JVC wants to be a full-timer, but he's got a ton of slabs. If you know him, he sends in these massive CGC orders. And he's got a ton of Absolute Batman stuff if you're into that, but a lot of other stuff too. After him, we've got George from Come On Comics at 8:30. And then Thursday and Friday, we have 2 brick and mortars holding it down. The first one's going to be Reza from Double Deuce Comics with Nick on Thursday at 8:30. And on Friday, the second new seller of the week is Cobra Comics, who has an LCS in Whittier, California. They're coming and joining the CU from about 8 to 9:30. They're going to do a pop-up Lent show on Friday with Spencer. And then Dan, we have a really rare Saturday show. We're doing this to make sure we can fit in our boys Granola-ish and Joey All Day, who are the Collector's Web. That'll be with yours truly from 4 to 7.
2 of the best.
Seriously, the coolest. 4 to 7 Saturday afternoon with me. So please come and join that one. It's a Saturday afternoon show. We very, very rarely do that. But these guys are, busy full-time workers like we are, and that's what they can do. So we're going to accommodate it. That's it for the coming week. But don't forget, as we close, to run to our profile, click the link, and complete your undies nominations.
And give us a follow. But I'll tell you, Kyle, I mean, I got to tell you, this is a great episode. I'm glad we got it off the ground. I know that with us heading into summer now, we got convention season coming up. We got some holidays. We got Labor Day coming up, or Memorial Day, excuse me. We've got Anti-Con. But I would just say to everybody, be sure you're following the Comic Underground so the next time that we're going to have a See You Sunday, we're going to try to do it, at least monthly. But I know in June, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm going to be traveling a little bit. I think, Kyle, you got some stuff coming up too. I think we're going to be seeing each other in Queens at one point. So, but what a great show, Kyle.
No, thank you. And thank you, Dan, for coming through with all the research and comic knowledge. Thanks for everybody for joining. We appreciate it. And thanks again. Be sure to follow the Comic Underground, and next time we will cheesy close. See you Sunday.
Boom.
Boom. Boom goes the dynamite. See you guys.
It says the video ended on my end, but it still says it's live at the top counting. Should we stop because